morning, everybody. I'm Congressman Jim McGovern, and I want to thank you all for coming to this very important photography exhibit on international school feeding programs. As many of you know, I'm very passionate about international school feeding programs. There are over 400 million hungry children in this world. Of those children, almost 130 million do not go to school. School feeding programs not only alleviate childhood hunger, they promote educational opportunities for children, especially young girls. We have seen that if you provide a meal at school, more kids will go to school, more children will stay in school, and more parents will support the school. We've also learned that school feeding programs help U.S. national security and foreign policy efforts in volatile parts of the world. The U.S. government supports international school feeding programs through the McGovern-Dole International Food for Education and Child Nutrition Program. To date, that program has provided meals to more than 22 million children in 41 countries. This year, the administration and Congress have both renewed their support for this program, and I want to thank Secretary of Agriculture Tom Vilsack for providing the program with $80 million worth of commodities this past April. I also want to thank the entire Agriculture Appropriations Subcommittee, including Joanne Emerson, who may be coming by shortly, for the additional $99.5 million they provided the program in last week's markup. This doubles the amount appropriated in fiscal year 2009 to a total of $199.5 million. We're still not where we want to be. When the McGovern-Dole program began, it was $300 million. We then got cut down to $50 million, and we're working our way back up. And I have to tell you, the only thing more cruel than not feeding a hungry child is feeding a hungry child for a short time and then taking the meal away.
Thanks very much. Thanks very much, and we so appreciate Jim and his staff's leadership in pushing us forward. Food insecurity threatens the physical and mental health of children throughout the world. Poor nutrition limits the ability of children to achieve the best education possible and makes it difficult for them to confront the socioeconomic challenges that keep families trapped in poverty and food insecurity for generations. Since its conception, the International School Feeding Program has helped millions of children in more than 41 countries, demonstrating a marked improvement in school achievement and other measured categories. Thanks to this program, these millions of children now have a better chance to improve cognition, increase attendance, break down gender barriers, and realize their dreams. This photo exhibit gives faces to these children who might otherwise fade into our minds as statistics. Thanks to these pictures, we can all witness and share the dramatic impact that this program has on the lives of so many children throughout the world.
Thank you so much for being here today. My name is Rachel Lynch. I'm a Mickey Leland International Hunger Fellow with the Global Child Nutrition Foundation.
And I'm Elizabeth Whelan. I'm the Associate Director of the Mickey Leland International Hunger Fellows Program at the Congressional Hunger Center and the photographer of the images you see before you.
Thank you so much to Congressman McGovern and Congressman Bozeman for being here today, as well as the Congressional Hunger Center, especially Margaret Ziegler and the Global Child Nutrition Foundation, through Barbara Belmont, who's with us here this morning.
I just wanted to say a few words about the setup of the exhibit and also the intention behind the exhibit and why it was created. Basically, this exhibit is an attempt to bring the voices of the implementers as well as the people that are impacted by these programs to policymakers. All of the photographs that you see were taken along with in-depth interviews that Rachel and I conducted. And so one thing I really want to emphasize is the context of the images, not just the pictures you see, but also the words and the stories that go along with the images, because those are just as important as the images themselves. So I just want to draw your attention to the words. The photographs that we took, the reason we picked these 3 countries are because we wanted to pick countries that were geographically diverse, as well as programs that were different. So Mali we chose, we were really interested in looking at how a US funded program could be supported and enhanced by community involvement and just the necessity of having a community involved in a school feeding program if it is going to be successful. We selected Chile because it's really seen as a model school feeding program throughout Latin America and the world as well. There's an incredible amount of political will in Chile for their school feeding program, and so we wanted to highlight that. And then finally, we selected India in the back here, which is a public-private partnership between the government of India and the Akshaya Patra Foundation. And one thing that we also want to emphasize about India is the fact that there's right to food legislation, which is how the school feeding program is as important as it is. And also the use of technology as well is something. It's a very innovative program, the way that technology is used to feed almost 1 million children a day. And not just is the food healthy, but it's also food that the kids like. There's a strong emphasis on cultural appropriateness of the food, so they cook different food for North and South India, and that's something that's very rare and really impressive. One thing that I really wanted to emphasize about all of the images here in the exhibit in general is the emphasis on opportunity that school feeding programs create, and something that the speakers have all mentioned. The opportunities that school feeding creates aren't just for the students themselves, but also for family members and their communities in general. And I think in Washington, D.C., we talk a lot about capacity building, and what better way is there to build capacity than to start early and get kids in the doors of school. And over the course of all the interviews that we did and listening to beneficiaries and implementers, I really think it seems that school feeding programs aren't just necessarily about about feeding children, but about removing one of the obstacles that prevents kids from getting through the doors of schools in the first place. So I just wanted to kind of emphasize that. So thank you all for coming, and please enjoy.